Hi, today I want to explain the previous video that I published, which is in Romanian, and the majority of my followers here are not Romanian speaking, so I want to explain it. Something came up in my country, Romania, Eastern Europe, an accused rape case between two journalists, of which the one being accused of raping was also involved in many educational projects around sexuality. So that one is a big thing for me, for my work in my country. Hi, this is Liana, Holistic Intimacy Coach. Welcome back to my channel. Here I help you get your orgasmic intimacy. And today we're going to explain a bit how do we avoid being raped in our relationship based on the public case that came up in my country. All right, so a little bit of history. A few days ago, there was a gala, Super Writings, which awards basically publications and people that write stuff that have a big impact in our country, okay, Romania, just our society. One of the publications that was awarded was Vice Romania, you know, the international Vice publication. They have a branch in Romania, or they had because it was closed this year. And this publication was awarded at this Super Writings Gala for its activity. A lot of the stuff that they published here was really, really courageous and groundbreaking for our country, obviously. For this publication, Vice Romania, a journalist, his name is Răzvan, he went up on stage. This journalist was the editorial-in-chief of this publication. One of them, he went up on stage to claim the award on behalf of the entire publication. It was not for him personally. The next morning, when this entire gala had its photos, you know, they spread out through the online, a Romanian woman journalist put a post on her personal Facebook account. In Romania, we still use, people of all ages still use Facebook a lot. So she wrote, "I can't go to Super Writings because I just can't stand to see my rapist being awarded on stage." She went on in that post to give details about the rape that she experienced, which happened in 2015. She was 20 years old. She was still a student at that time. She was studying journalism. This guy is older, and obviously was older than her at the time. She had met him because he had already graduated journalism, and he was helping her with some studies. They became friends. They had an unofficial relationship. They had sex a few times, and one time she explained how they had drunk. They went back to her dorm room. They drank some more. He got up on her. She said no. He went on to rape her, and then he went to bed. She said that she went outside in front of the dorm room and just stood on the side of a river that crosses our home city. And she told her friends the next day. She told him the next day. He didn't really process that. She went to therapy. A bit of time later, she told her own mother. And her mother's reaction was, "What kind of a rape is this where you invite a man to your house and he rapes you?" So the notion that it's not a stranger on the street and it's somebody that you know and this person wants to have sex with you, you tell them no, but still they proceed, this is not interpreted by even our mothers in some cases as rape. Although it's by the book, this is rape. It doesn't matter if you know or not the person, you say no, they go on to have sex with you. That is the definition of rape. So after she wrote that post, a lot of Romanian publications took the case in detail. They wrote to this woman and asked her to give details of the whole story. Then they gave him the right to reply. So as journalists do, they called him. He explained from his perspective that they had known each other. They had had sex before. He had had sex before. It's not like it was the first time and he had to do it. And if there was an expressed no that he could hear, he would have certainly not done that. So my reaction, first of all, based on this description, is the following. First of all, no alcohol and sex. Like, there's a reason why they don't let you work with alcohol. They don't let you operate heavy machinery with alcohol. They don't let you drive with alcohol. Depending on how much you drink, it will dull your senses and your intellectual capacities. Therefore, you can sometimes not hear, because my assumption is this guy just didn't hear when the woman said no. And you can just proceed to do something that is obviously by the book, rape. So in this case, and that's the definition. When somebody says no, and somebody still proceeds to doing something else to that person, that is abuse. In the case of sex, that is rape. So either you drink too much and you don't hear, or sometimes, because this can also happen, you're turned on, you drank a lot, and you can't stop yourself. Even if, let's say, that you hear that no. You're drunk, basically. You think that you heard it, but you're not sure, or you think, oh, it's not so bad. I'll just let this person, I'll make them enjoy it, and so on. No, that is still, it falls in the category of rape. Sadly. So my first reaction is this one. Don't freaking drink and have sex. I know a lot of people are like, wow, that's the whole passion killer right there, and we don't want to hear it. Like, what the heck? If I don't drink and enjoy myself, what else am I going to do? What kind of sex advice is that? Well, this guy is, let me tell you, the situation that this guy is in right now is not pretty. The case is all over the Romanian press. Everybody is ceasing to collaborate with this guy because he was involved in projects around sexuality education. And right now, it all felt like the rapist is doing sexual education. It does not look good at all for this guy. Really. Secondly, what everybody needs to know, especially if we're more experienced, even let's say that for whatever reason, you don't hear a person saying yes enthusiastically or no, you can still, because you're having sex with somebody and that person is closest to you, you can still observe the person. When somebody says no, they obviously don't want it. They don't feel it. They obviously don't enjoy it, what you're doing right there. And you can observe the person is not responding to you, is not cooperating with you. What happens with a lot of people, especially in the case of a person that is physically smaller, this guy is kind of big and the woman is not as massive as he is. When somebody is bigger than you and you can't really push them off of you because you're physically small, what your entire system does is freeze. It freezes you. You go into freeze, okay? Fight, flight, or freeze. That's what happens with people when they say no and still somebody has sex with them. Even if they know the person, they will still freeze. If you're a bit experienced in intimacy, you will pick up when somebody's quote-unquote frozen there. Okay, you just need to look at the person, observe the person that you're having sex with, and you will know. That's why not drinking is actually a good idea when you're intimate with somebody. Especially nowadays, when women have started to speak up. Not that this is okay to do at any other time, but women have started to speak up about this stuff. Okay, a lot of women have said no, but still men went on to have their way with them because they didn't really think that it was that big of a deal. Okay, it falls under the definition of rape. And you need to observe the person in front of you because this guy is in shock right now. He doesn't believe of himself as a rapist. And most men don't think and feel and believe that they are rapists. But they do this stuff because they're not properly educated. Consent is not just hearing a yes or a no. It's not just about that. It's also observing the person, what happens to them. Okay, you need to be present with the other individual. The following day, after this article broke out in all the publications in our country, 2 more women came out from our country under anonymity. They were not journalists. They came out and spoke about the interactions they had with this guy. I'm not putting print screens here because everything is in Romanian and it's just Romanian. Like in the Romanian video, I put print screens with the gala, the photo, the news articles. I was reading, what the women were saying, but here I'm just telling it. So one woman said that she had met him because they were going to have a photo shoot. He was going to take professional photos of her. Then they started talking, and eventually they ended up having sex. It's not clear if during the photo shoot, later on, so no details were given here. But she said that at a certain point while they were having sex, he penetrated her on the other side without preparation. He went in all of a sudden, and it was extremely painful. She screamed and fell down on her knees. That was the worst pain she had been in. We don't know what happened afterwards, like the article or the statements didn't include that. But what this shows is, again, a person that at least 9 years ago didn't have enough education to know that you don't penetrate somebody anally without relaxing the place, without lubricating it, and without penetrating gradually. Really, these are some things that pertain to sexual education. So this guy at least 9 years ago didn't know that. Okay, based on the sentence or the statements that were given, he did not. This doesn't show a person that is educated and experienced in sexuality. And for that, firstly, no woman that has consented to having sex with you will consent to being subjected to pain, abuse, excruciating pain in this case. And that, the emotional component also, because it's not just a physical thing, is quite big. And this one also went into therapy. So you need to understand, just because a woman consents to having sex with you doesn't mean you can do whatever the heck you want in the moment and have it okay with her. And probably the only way for a guy to actually believe exactly how painful it is to have a bigger guy than this guy come up behind them without preparation, relaxing their anus, without lubrication, sticking up a dildo, which is obviously bigger than their anal opening, all of a sudden, fast, and have them experience the same excruciating pain so that they can understand from a lived experience what that means. Okay, because a lot of people don't understand. They go like, oh, this wasn't so bad. This is like when you don't believe the other person, when you don't have the capacity to listen, and yet you call yourself sexually experienced. That is the only way that you could possibly wrap your mind around what another person feels when you do that to them. Sadly, that's the only way. Now, I'm not saying that somebody should do this to this guy. I'm saying this would be the way that he would imagine what he put that woman through. Okay? And then in the same article, there was another woman. This woman did not give any details about what they were doing. She said that the sexual abuse that she was subjected to by him put her into therapy for many years. She didn't want to give details about the act itself. Neither did she want to give her name because she didn't want to expose herself with this whole thing. She said that she had worked for many years to get better, and she didn't want to let that all go to waste. She said that nowadays she's alive and well, and she doesn't want to go back to that ordeal. The reason I believe these women, because I don't know, I wasn't there in any of these cases. The reason I believe these women, one, I went through this 10 years ago in 2014. So with somebody that I knew and I wanted to have a relationship with, I ended up being abused psychologically and emotionally more than physically. That was my quote unquote fortune. I still ended up in therapy. And when I was trying to explain to that man, he wouldn't hear me out. He wouldn't believe me. He wouldn't hear me. 3 years later, when I tried to call him and speak to him, he did not, he laughed. He said he was busy. When I called back at a later time, as he said, he didn't answer the phone. There's no availability to listen to the other individual for a lot of people. A lot of men just, they think that, oh, it's okay to do this. They don't have the experience on their side, on the receiving end, and they won't hear or listen to the other person. Not even listen. Okay, not even sit down and listen to what the person has to say. No. So I think this is what, and But also in my case, the guy was really proud of himself that he had a lot of experience with women. Please believe me, just because you have sex with a lot of people doesn't mean you're educated. That, like, this message, I hope it lands. At least I gave it in Romanian. And what I advise women in this case, first of all, is not to rush into having sex with somebody. And really having a talk with them before, not to entice them, not to stir them up. Because a lot of people, when they go to sex ed or coaching or all of the channels online, they focus on the stuff where they're learning to create a beautiful atmosphere and make themselves more attractive and more available. But in this case, I'm saying don't even do that. Just sit down with the guy that you're considering having sex with and just bring up the topic of sex and find out what kind of sex he likes, what he understands in successful sex, like good sex, what he understands in, or what's his notion of observing the other person and reading into the other person. And no, they're not going to say all these things right from the get-go. Like, this is a conversation that needs to happen over a longer period. And if a guy isn't willing to have that conversation with you, he just wants to do it and that's it, please believe me, that is not the guy that you want to have sex with. I don't care if you're 20 or 30, and I don't care if you think in your mind that you should have sex because everybody has it and it's a stupid thing not to have it, like you're a loser or something. No, believe me, even after one episode of having sex with somebody, you end up in therapy and go for years to undo the shit that somebody does because they don't really give a crap about you. They just want to release some tension and they don't care about the person that they're doing it to. It's not worth the time, the money, all the other costs, because when this woman, the original woman here in this discussion, the journalist, when she went out in public to say that she's not going to Super Writings, the gala, because she can't stand to see her rapist being awarded on stage, she said that 9 years later, he's doing really well in his career with sex ed, and she hasn't recovered well, and that affected a lot of other areas of life. Trauma, because rape is a trauma, sexual trauma, does affect you on so many other levels, not just on the quality of your intimate life, the way you show up in intimacy, that definitely changes, but also it can affect how you react on other parts of your life also. Anybody, man or woman, that was subjected to rape, yes, men can be raped also, they will know how much it can affect them on other areas of their lives, not just their intimate life. So this is no joke, okay? And the fact that women are speaking up right now and we're believing them, because a lot of women have been through this. I had my own story. And I know I wasn't believed and listened at the time and understood. I know it. That's why I advise women, talk to this person. Talk it out. Get more information. Really make sure that this is the guy that you want to give access to your body. Because sometimes the costs can last for years. And for guys, the worst thing that you can do is have doubts in your mind about stuff that you want to do, but never go to somebody, a therapist, a coach, a counselor, and at least get some information about it. The worst thing. Because sometimes without having at least some knowledge, and there are classes now, there are books, there are online programs, there are events, you can take individual sessions and bring your actual questions there. You have the tools now to get education. There are free videos. They're not going to answer directly and purposely to your question. Like if you have a specific question, the best thing is to take it into coaching and ask your question and have answers given to you on that situation. But right now, you still have the resources to do it, and do it. Because you can end up years later with a crap like this exploding in your face. And if you have a pattern, like this guy seems to have a pattern based on the articles that are shown, the statements that were given in the press, he has a pattern. If you have, you lack some knowledge, some education somewhere, but you think that you're well, you're doing it okay, and sometimes the piles of traumatized sex partners of yours from the past round up and they start to speak about their experiences, not only will no woman touch you in the future, but sometimes you can have repercussions in society or at work. Okay? Just really, no form of education, no form of getting information, no form of getting answers on the dilemmas that you have can cost you down the line a lot. And for women, no patience to really feel, like read the person that you want to have sex with can have repercussions. And that's not easy. Let me tell you, it's not easy to learn how to not provoke that to other people. It's not easy to learn to have these discussions and really read the other person. It took me, even after I started training myself, it took me a long time to really come to my power, because I too, that's why I started doing this work. First of all, for myself, because I didn't get enough education as I was growing up. There wasn't any available. I was in interactions of, not so healthy in many cases. One that ended up with me being psychologically, emotionally, and physically a bit abused. And it took a lot of years to cleanse myself of that. And nowadays I'm really, years will pass until I have sex with somebody else. Like right now I'm nearing 7 years since I haven't had sex with somebody else. I do have my sexuality practices. I do express myself. But really, I'm waiting for the best person for me, however long that takes, because low quality sex interactions with people that don't really want to commit, no thank you. Really, I'm not interested in that. I know that's not popular right now because everybody's exposed to this over-sexualization, but that's really a much better avenue than just to engage with God knows who, because you have this idea in mind that you gotta have sex, otherwise you're a loser. You are not a loser. If you don't have sex with people that don't really care about you, that don't really respect you, they don't want to be there with you for the long run, if that's what you want and if that's what you need, you're not a loser to do that. You're actually better off. That's what really a winner at this, because they know what they want and they will not accept anything else but what they want and what they need. And they will wait until they find the right person for them. That's what I call a winner in intimacy. Really. A lot of people are erotic slaves these days. I've mentioned this one in another video. We are slaves to a lot of images that just play us and get us hooked into a lot of products and programs and people and all of that. Look, we're better off without engaging in stupid crap online or in person, and waiting out until we meet the right people for us and we make sure that there's a match there and that we're both on the same wavelength, and engage from that place, honestly. Okay, this is how we avoid abuse in our quote-unquote relationships, unofficial, friends with benefits, whatever. This is how we avoid it. We get educated and we really take our time to understand, feel into the other person. And we make sure the person is not drunk when they engage with us, or otherwise, mentally not fully there, let's just say that. They don't have altered states of consciousness, so that they can pay attention to us when we say something, when we give a sign that it's not okay. They're actually there for us. And we are there for the other person also. Okay? That's how we go about these things. And it takes time, absolutely. But if you want to enjoy your sex life, that's the way to go about it. Okay? So this is the previous video, what's it about? And this is also my way of bringing a bit more knowledge and information out of a situation that exploded into our national press. I hope this message lands. If you feel that I can be a resource for you, I'll leave a link under this video where you can check out my programs, my book, And also, you can seek out, through my website, my contact page, you can reach out to me, and if you have an actual coaching question, go through the coaching process with me. Okay? I wish you a beautiful, intimate life, and I will hear you in the next video.